In the shadow of the great Assyrian Empire, a civilization whose name echoed through the ancient world, there once stood another powerful kingdom. A kingdom that few remember today, a ghost in the pages of history. We often think of Assyria as the uncontested superpower of the Iron Age, a military machine that crushed all opposition. But what if that wasn't the whole story? What if, nestled in the formidable mountains to the north, a rival power rose that was strong enough to challenge them, to meet them blade for blade, and to build an empire of its own? Who truly ruled these mountains? This was the kingdom of Urartu, a land of high, impassable mountains, ingeniously fortified cities, and a lineage of mighty kings who dared to defy the might of Assyria. Their domain was the Armenian highlands, a rugged, breathtaking landscape that was both their fortress and their source of wealth. From these peaks, they controlled vital trade routes and commanded vast resources, from precious metals to prized horses. They ruled from the shores of the magnificent Lake Van, in what is now eastern Turkey, a vast inland sea that served as the heart of their kingdom. For centuries, they were not just a nuisance to the Assyrians, they were their true rivals, a constant threat on their northern border. The Assyrian annals, filled with boasts of conquest, speak of Urartu with a mixture of fury and grudging respect, testament to the fierce resistance they encountered. They were master metalworkers, brilliant engineers who carved canals and reservoirs out of solid rock, and formidable warriors. Yet despite their power and influence, their story seems to have vanished. Somehow their name was erased from common knowledge, their grand palaces and temples reduced to silent ruins, and their entire civilization buried beneath millennia of dust and silence. How could such a powerful empire, a true competitor to Assyria, be so completely forgotten? This is the story of the lost kingdom of Urartu, and the quest to rediscover its secrets. In the rugged heart of the Armenian highlands, a new power began to stir. Urartu emerged around the 9th century BCE, not into a peaceful vacuum, but into a world dominated by conflict and the relentless ambition of empires. To their south, the mighty Neo-Assyrian Empire was a constant looming threat, its armies hungry for the resources of the mountains, timber, stone, and especially metal. This pressure from the south was the very crucible that forged Urartu, a loose confederation of highland tribes pushed to the brink, unified under a single banner for survival, and then for dominance. They would not just survive in these mountains, they would master them. Their response to this existential threat was written in stone. They built fortresses on nearly inaccessible mountaintops, massive stone citadels that still stand today, defying time. These were not crude forts, but masterpieces of military architecture. Using a technique known as Cyclopean masonry, they fitted together enormous, irregular blocks of stone with such precision that no mortar was needed. These fortresses, like Erebuni and Argishtihinili, were more than just defensive positions. They were administrative hubs, royal residences, and powerful symbols of the king's authority, projecting power over the valleys below. The crown jewel of their kingdom was the capital, Tushpa, a city that glittered with temples and palaces carved directly into the sheer cliffs overlooking the vast, sapphire expanse of Lake Van. Imagine a bustling metropolis, its lower town filled with artisans and merchants, all living under the watchful gaze of the royal citadel perched high above. This was the nerve center of the empire, a testament to their wealth and their deep connection to this dramatic landscape. But their genius wasn't confined to defense. To feed their growing population, they engineered incredible irrigation canals that carried water across mountains, turning arid plains into fertile farmland. The most famous of these, the Shamiram Canal, stretches over 50 kilometers and is still partially in use today, nearly 3,000 years later. This level of hydraulic engineering was centuries ahead of its time, allowing the kingdom to flourish in a region where water was, and is, the ultimate resource. And their culture was as distinct as their fortresses. They developed their own cuneiform script, adapting it to write their unique, non-Indo-European and non-Semitic language, a linguistic isolate that continues to puzzle scholars. Their pantheon was led by the powerful god Haldi, the warrior god to whom their kings dedicated their victories. This blend of military might, engineering prowess, and a fiercely independent culture created a civilization that was a true blend of mystery and power, setting them apart from all others in the ancient world. The people of Urartu were fierce, skilled metalworkers and artisans. This wasn't by chance. Their homeland in the Armenian highlands was a geological treasure trove, rich with the copper and iron ore that fueled their legendary forges. From these workshops poured an astonishing array of goods. Their craftsmanship wasn't just a skill, it was the engine of their economy and the foundation of their military might. They mastered techniques that were the envy of the ancient world, turning raw metal into objects of both breathtaking beauty and terrifying power. They crafted bronze shields, weapons, and statues that rivaled anything found in Babylon, but their repertoire was far broader. Using advanced techniques like repoussé and lost wax casting, they produced ornate furniture, intricate jewelry, and massive bronze cauldrons that became prized diplomatic gifts and symbols of elite status across the Near East. These weren't just functional items, they were statements, broadcasting Urartian wealth and technical supremacy to all who saw them. At the heart of their civilization stood their state god, Haldi. He was their protector, a war deity whose temples crowned their strongest fortresses, blending spiritual authority with military strategy. To go to war was to march with Haldi. Victories were his victories, and the spoils of war, especially precious metals, were dedicated to his temples, further fueling the cycle of production and conquest. This divine mandate gave the Urartian kings the ultimate justification for their expansionist ambitions. But despite their achievements, they were surrounded by enemies. This strategic location was both a blessing and a curse. To the south lay their arch-nemesis, the mighty Assyrian Empire, a relentless military machine that viewed Urartu's rise as a direct threat. To the north, nomadic tribes like the Sumerians and Scythians constantly tested their borders. And all around, smaller rival states vied for control over vital trade routes and resources. Urartu was an island of order in a sea of chaos, forced to be perpetually on guard. Still, Urartu stood strong for centuries, a testament to its resilience and ingenuity. Its kings carved inscriptions into cliffs to declare their power to the world. These weren't just boasts. They were permanent records of canals built, fortresses founded, and enemies vanquished. Written in a unique cuneiform script, they proclaimed for all time, "By the greatness of Haldi, I, King of Urartu, have accomplished these deeds." It was a defiant message, etched in stone, ensuring that even after their kingdom fell, their voice would never be completely silenced. The Assyrians saw Urartu as a threat and a challenge. For decades, the two powers clashed in brutal wars across Mesopotamia's northern frontiers. Cities burned, armies marched through mountain passes. But while the Assyrians recorded their victories in stone, Urartu's resilience often went untold. They rebuilt after every defeat, each time stronger, each time more determined to survive. Before we uncover how this mighty kingdom fell, make sure to subscribe and join our community of history seekers. We explore lost empires, ancient mysteries, and forgotten worlds every week. Now, back to Urartu's final days. By the 7th century BCE, the balance of power had shifted. Assyria grew stronger, while new enemies, like the Scythians and Medes, descended upon Urartu's lands. One by one, their fortresses fell. The once proud kingdom crumbled, and its people vanished into history's shadows. When the dust settled, the Assyrians themselves would soon fall, leaving behind a world changed forever. And Urartu's name, forgotten, until archaeologists rediscovered its ruins more than 2,000 years later. In the 19th century, explorers found inscriptions written in a strange language, not Assyrian, not Babylonian. It was Urartian, the voice of a people long lost. Ruins at Erebuni, Van, and Argishtihinili revealed massive citadels and temples that told their story once more. And in a fascinating twist, the descendants of Urartu may have become the ancestors of the Armenians, linking this lost empire directly to a living nation. The kingdom of Urartu may be gone, but its spirit lingers in the mountains and stones of the ancient Near East, a silent reminder that even forgotten empires once shaped the world. What other civilizations lie buried beneath time, waiting to be rediscovered?